You're the governor. You wanted to be governor. You're the executive in charge. You're in charge of your state. You're in charge of making sure that when you have natural disasters, there's some nut job, some criminal lit a match or something like that, that there are steps in place to at least try to ameliorate the situation. The idea that you can tell Anderson Cooper on CNN right there and then that these fire hydrants are only good for really smaller fires. Once you use them 2 or 3 times, that's it. The idea that you knew that, and then you know that they're not adequate to deal with a major fire, even a fire smaller than this, massive one, but still a major fire. And then he attacks Donald Trump for politicizing it. Donald Trump's not politicizing anything. He's trying to hold you to account. And so here we go. We have Anderson Cooper asking a question of the governor. Pretty relevant, I would say. Go ahead.
What is the situation with the water? Obviously, in Palisades, ran out last night in the hydrants. I was talking to the firefighter on this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just when you have a system that's not dissimilar to what we've seen in other extraordinarily large-scale fires, whether it be pipe, electricity, or whether it just be the complete overwhelm of the system. I mean, those hydrants are typical for 2 or 3 fires, maybe 1 fire. You have something at this scale, but again, that's going to be determined by the local.
I hate to even ask this question, but the president-elect chose to attack you, blame you for this.
No, let's hold it right there. You're the governor of the state. Would you ever hear DeSantis say there's no water? Well, that leave it to the locals? He said there's no way in hell that he'd say, leave it to the locals. He gave one briefing after another after another. He wanted to get the information out, the good, the bad, and the ugly. He wanted people's lives to be saved. He wanted people to get out of harm's way. He was talking about it. He knew what was going on. You're the governor of California. The water runs out in L.A. The hydrants aren't working. Before you talk to a reporter, wouldn't you want to know exactly what the hell's going on and how that happened? I mean, really, you'd want to know about a situation potentially like that long before you have a fire like this, right? They say it's good for 1 or 2 fires and that's it. Okay, if you know it's good for 1 or 2 fires and that's it, that's not good enough if you have a big fire, is it? So what'd they do about it? Nothing. It's up to the locals. Let them figure it out. Are you kidding me? And this guy wants to be president of the United States. Can't even run the damn state. Go ahead.
One can't even respond to it. I mean, it's, people are literally fleeing. People have lost their lives. Kids lost their schools. Families completely torn asunder. Churches burned down. This guy wanted to politicize it.
He doesn't want to politicize. He wants accountability. You contributed to this, Newsom. The mayhem, the fire, the smoke, the destitution, the whole thing. You're the governor. You wanted to be governor. You're the executive in charge. You're in charge of your state. You're in charge of making sure that when you have natural disasters, there's some nut job, some criminal lit a match or something like that, that there are steps in place to at least try to ameliorate the situation. The idea that you can tell Anderson Cooper on CNN right there and then that these fire hydrants are only good for really smaller fires. Once you use them 2 or 3 times, that's it. The idea that you knew that, and then you know that they're not adequate to deal with a major fire, even a fire smaller than this, massive one, but still a major fire. What does that tell you? And then he attacks Donald Trump for politicizing it. Donald Trump's not politicizing anything. He's trying to hold you to account. I told you, he's saying, I told you over and over and over again, fix the floors of the damn forests. You had major fires on his watch, on your watch. He does not control the state of California. And what did he say? I'm going to cut off all federal funding if you don't fix that damn problem, as a way of trying to get him to do it. He didn't do it. And so Trump is supposed to act like there's nothing going on. That's not politicizing. That's informing. That's holding somebody accountable. Because they're going to be right to FEMA, the federal government, to ask for hundreds of billions of dollars that are not currently in there. They just added $100 billion. We want to help the people of California. I want to help the people of California. They didn't create this. But that said, somebody contributed to this. And it's him. It's the Democrat legislature. They wanted power. They changed their electoral system. You have a one-party state. They have supermajorities in both houses. They changed the electorate. They want illegal aliens to vote. They got everything they want. They got all the power they want. They control the bureaucracy. They control the commissions. They control everything with an iron fist. And then when something blows up like this, it's worse than it had to be. You're politicizing it. My answer to him is yes, people have died. Churches have burned. Kids are without schools. And you should have thought about that when you were prioritizing your spending. But you didn't. And I have report after report, and you can get them on the internet. He lied in 2021 about the extent of these burns that they had to try and relieve the fire, aspects of these forests and so forth. He didn't do nearly enough. He lied about how much he was doing, and he hasn't done enough to this day. When it comes to the water, it's been politicized. The left has brought lawsuits on behalf of anything they can think of, tiny little fish and so forth. And it's more than that. It's been an issue that they've used against, I will say, farmers and the rural areas. But there's water shortages in California. There shouldn't be water shortages in any state that has an ocean on one of its borders, on its coast, in my humble opinion. There's a way to deal with that. They have shortages of energy, brownouts and blackouts. Why? Because of their policies, that's why. Their policies, that's why. And they're going even further, banning essentially gas-driven vehicles. That's what they're doing, with the help, by the way, of Biden, who gave them a waiver. The EPA said, yeah, you go ahead and do that. So car manufacturers have to manufacture the lowest common denominator, which is California in many respects. So it creates a problem. Go ahead.
I have a lot of thoughts, and I know what I want to say. I won't. I stood next to a president of the United States of America today, and I was proud to be with Joe Biden. And he had the backs of every single person in this community. He didn't play politics, didn't try to divide any of us.
He has the backs, Biden, of every single person in the community. What does that even mean? It's burning. Joe Biden has the backs of every person? You mean like he had the backs of every person in North Carolina with the flooding? I mean, seriously, folks, he's so full of crap, so they attack Trump. Trump's pointing out the truth.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.